Today I'm back on public land in Wisconsin. I'm going to take you scouting with me today. I just met up with Shane Simpson from Calling All Turkey. He's scouting with me today. He's about a mile or two over. And I'm actually revisiting an area that I scouted with Garrett from Do It Yourself Sportsman back in March. So if you've been following my channel, you know I do a map reading challenge every year, or at least one. And this year I'm doing one with Garrett and Shane here in Wisconsin. So I normally just do a summer scout, but this year I said let's do a March scout, like right when the snow melts off, because that time of year you can really see a lot of the deer trails. As you can see right now, all the foliage is in. You can't see very far through this. It's very thick, and before all the leaves grow in, you get a better view of where the deer trails and stuff are. So the experiment this year is how much, or does a March scout help in a map reading challenge with success? So I'm revisiting my top spots that I had looked at back in March today. One of the challenges is with my top spot. If you saw that video, I'll put a link for it if you didn't see it, because it was a pretty good video. But my top spot where I found an antler shed, and if you saw the video, you know I said a little prayer on my way here saying, hey God, give me some insight. Let me find an antler shed near the best spot for me to focus in on. Well, I went to my top waypoint, like the one that I had picked out that I was most excited about, and boom, there was an antler shed. So that was cool. The problem though is the access is extremely difficult, and in order to get there you have to go through a really thick swamp. And I was like, man, I just feel like I'm gonna be pushing the deer out, because my strategy for this setup is to catch deer coming out of the swamp in the evening to feed on an a ridge that has oak trees all over it. So in order to get there though, I'd have to kind of go through the swamp, and that's just not working. So what I'm doing right now is, after studying the maps more, I found another different way to get in there. And so I'm cutting down through this area here, and I'm wearing hip waders right now because there's a little stream I'm going to have to cross. But these factors that I'm talking about right now are what make this spot so excellent, and why I picked it is because access is difficult, so it's going to minimize the amount of other guys that are going to be coming into this spot. I mean, there could be somebody that's going to be back in here, but chances are less likely. Another big reason is because I only picked this spot because of the topography and layout. The way that this ridge dead ends down into a swamp, it just creates a little pocket right there, right on it's a ridge that goes into a spur down into a swamp, and it just creates a transition zone, not just from vegetation but also topography. And I can just picture deer coming out of that swamp to go up onto the ridge in the evening to feed on all the acorns. And when I got there, that's where the antler shed was. It's a really cool spot, and so I'm looking forward to checking it out. And again, I'll also put links for the other videos, the other video for this scout, and also for Garrett and Shane, so you can kind of see what they're seeing here. Now I'm coming up on the stream. Well, it's not really even a stream, it's just kind of like the swamp kind of does this right here. So I'm gonna make my way through this. I'm gonna put the camera away because I don't want to risk dropping it in the water, and then I'll maybe get it back out once I get to the spot I'm going to. This is the area where the ridge spur comes down into the bottom, and then the swamp is right out in front of me here. The problem though is the understory, like all of these shrubs that are about that tall and all the foliage on them would prevent me from being able to get a shot out of a tree stand down in this spot right where I found the antler shed. What I may have to do is go back up the spur toward the top of the ridge a little bit and try to find a good spot up there and hope I can catch them filtering up along the ridge there. But yeah, I'm standing right at the spot. That tree right over there was the tree I was looking at, but there would be no way to shoot now with all these leaves. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you're scouting in March and then you come back when all the leaves are growing in, it really cuts down on the shooting, and a lot of spots you won't be able to shoot because I can't cut these trees down on public land. Alright, I'm still making my way over. I just turned the camera off a minute ago. So I'm making my way over to, this is the waypoint that I have in my GPS. It's another maybe 15 yards over, but there's acorns on the ground here and fresh deer scat here. So I think my plan is actually working. The deer are coming in and feeding on these acorns right here during the day. But as you can see, I can't shoot through all this stuff. So that's the limiting factor right now. It's not really having a shot to where the deer are going to be. Fresh acorns, fresh scat, but you can't shoot to this spot. So I'm just going to do a quick look around, but then maybe walk up the ridge and see if I can find an opening. Okay, I'm going to note this oak tree right here as my potential tree stand tree. There is a little pocket right here from where I'm standing to that tree where I could get some shooting, and right on the edge of the where it gets real thick down in the swamp, where the swamp starts. And I can definitely see deer scat in this whole area right in here. I could see a couple good trails coming out of the swamp from the beds, and this is the beginning. I mean they're going to be hungry when they come in here. They're going to start eating right away on these first acorn trees. And if I can get set up right here, I might be able to get some shooting in through here, and this could work out. And you could also see how these little shrubs, oak trees, have been browsed. All the leaves have been browsed off. The leaves are browsed off here. See all these leaves have been browsed off. So in here, so the deer are coming in and feeding. They're browsing. They're eating. Now the acorns are falling. Here we're August 9th, and they're going to still be falling, I imagine, in here come September. Alright, that oak tree that I just pointed out is right here. So I'm now about 8 yards past it, and there are actually remains of a scrape from last year, and there's fresh deer scat in it from this year. Here's the overhanging limb. The leaves have been, nibbled off. So it could even have been visited. And here's another old scrape from last year right there. So this is definitely a good area, not just food, but the deer can communicate right here with scrapes and stuff. So the problem is where I'm standing, there's no shot at all from that tree. So, this could be one of those frustrating situations where, the deer could be 10 yards away and I just can't get a shot. It's just tough in here. I can see, it looks like a trail goes through here. They come out, there's an area over in there that they clearly come in and out of, and then they filter up, but it looks like this trail comes over here to where these scrapes are. And there's a trail that kind of goes off that way and one that goes that way. They're not real pronounced trails, but you can see that they're there. Okay, the trail with the two scrapes, there and there where I was just standing, comes right to where I'm standing here and goes that way. There is a tree, if I get up by that fork, I could set up in that tree and have a shot. That's about a 18-yard shot to this trail. So I do want to incorporate this trail in my plan because deer can come out and feed right here on the acorns, but they could have, a path that they have in mind where they want to go. And sometimes they'll travel along that. Being that there's scrapes on this, bucks a lot of times will put scrapes on dominant trails that the deer are going to be traveling on. So I'm going to mark that tree right there. All right, in order to create a couple shooting lanes, I took like trees like this and I just would move them around and get the leaves kind of hung up on the next sapling over, and see how that now moves that over, and that helps create a shooting lane down through. I just did that a couple spots. I'm out of breath, yeah, because I just walked back up the hill. I should have filmed it a little bit while I was there, but I just did made like 3 or 4 little shooting lanes by moving the saplings over just to make it usable, that spot down there. So off to the next spot, and that's just a little tip for you. When you can't cut shrubs and trees and branches, you can get the little ones and kind of just gently work them over and get them hung up on the leaves and the branches of the little sapling next to it, and it just creates a little tiny shot opportunity for you without breaking the rules. All right, there is remnants of a scrape, and you always look for the overhanging limb, and you can see that this one's been hit a little bit. It's been nipped off right there and on some of those. So I just saw this. I'm coming from my key spot, and I marked a new waypoint that I didn't look at when I was here in March on a different spur over from it. And so I saw this, I'm like, okay, that's definitely an old scrape, but I wasn't gonna mark it. I was just gonna keep going because the area that I marked is right over here. But then just about 5 yards over, these trees here have been all rubbed up in the past. So these are some old rubs here and here, and there's a couple other saplings in here that have been rubbed on, but this is the area that I was going to mark, and here's a good tree for a climber right there. I've got a clear window of shot over to here if the deer's traveling across this ridge here. There's another old rub right there. So, oh, and there's another old rub right over there. So this would be a good spot to mark, and I could see some other old rubs. This would be a good evening spot. I think bucks especially like to do this type of activity in the evenings, in the early fall. I mean, they'll do it all night long once they get closer to the rut, but I'm gonna mark this spot here as another option. All right, folks, we are wrapping up this scouting trip, and I wanted to get a little feedback from Shane, just a little, actually, I want you to take a moment to tell the viewers about what kind of content you have on your channel, and then I'm going to share with you some of the other guys on the Map Reading Challenge this year. There's going to be links for their channels if you want to check out some of their stuff, and I'll put a link to my Map Reading Challenge YouTube channel as well. If you haven't subscribed to that, make sure you do it, because we've got a lot of guys in the hunt this year, and all those major episodes are going to be on the Map Reading Challenge YouTube channel. So Shane, tell us a little bit about your channel real quick.
So yeah, my channel is originally started off with mostly turkey content,
yeah.
And this past year I did like a daily vlog or that type of deal where every day I was producing videos, or every 2 or 3 days putting them together. So I have I don't know, it's 33 days, maybe 20 some odd videos of turkey hunting and with public land and that sort of thing, running gun style. Last year I started the Cali Chronicles, where I'm videoing all my deer tracking with my blue tick coonhound, and so you'll get to see aerial maps of where the deer went and the stuff we have to deal with, and the stuff we see as a tracker, a deer tracker. It's very interesting, I think. I mean, I put it together, but it's interesting to me to track and see these sort of things. Yeah. And now I'm getting kind of more into filming my deer hunts. I've done a little bit here and there, and I've got some on my channel, some public land deer hunting, but I'm kind of making a commitment this year to do more of that and be more committed. Last few years I've gotten lazy about it and just gone out there and just enjoyed deer hunting. Yeah. But I enjoy looking back at hunts on video, and I kind of wish I'd taken the effort to do that more. Sure. So basically my channel in a nutshell is turkey hunting, public land, tracking deer with a dog, and deer hunting on public land. There's some private land hunts mixed in, but for the most part it's public land hunting.
Cool. And make sure you check out everyone's other channels if you got the time. Until then, take care and God bless. Just a couple, maybe about 2 miles from my spot. Would have been a 6 point, looks like. Pretty bloated. Lots of flies. One less deer we'll have a chance at this year. A little young anyway though.